Growing a business is kind of tricky right now. Supply chains are squeezed, tariffs and trade policies are dynamic, and cash flow, it's tighter than ever. You need clarity to come out on top. Without it, you risk falling behind. If only you could hop in the DeLorean and see the future, right? Thankfully, there's NetSuite by Oracle. NetSuite has real-time forecasting to help you move ahead with confidence. This is your AI-powered business management suite and the #1 cloud ERP. Trusted by over 42,000 businesses, NetSuite brings accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR all under one roof. It's your single source of truth, giving you the data and control you need to move quickly. And with AI built in, you can automate the busy work and focus on strategy. NetSuite helps you see what's stuck, what it's costing you, and how to pivot fast. If I were running a business with a lot of moving parts, I'd use NetSuite for full control over everything. Tame the chaos with NetSuite. If your revenues are at least in 7 figures, download the free ebook, Navigating Global Trade, 3 Insights for Leaders at netsuite.com/SPI. That's netsuite.com/SPI. You spent months building towards launch day, but when the clock hits 0, your site crashes. Bots swarm, and loyal fans rage on Reddit. That's not good. Fanfare was built to stop that. Fanfare is the drop platform made for high-pressure moments, stampede-proof infrastructure, verified waitlists, and bot filters that actually work. Instead of refunds and rage, you get retention and revenue. And that sounds great to me. Your next launch shouldn't be a gamble. Get Fanfare's 5-step hype drop playbook and learn how to bulletproof your drop at fanfare.io/playbook. Again, that's fanfare.io/playbook. Hey, I get it. You've worked really hard to build up your business and it's doing great. So great that you need help now. The most important thing for your business is to hire the right people to support it. So how can you find amazing candidates quickly? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you stand out and hire fast. And with Sponsored Jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. And it makes a huge difference. According to Indeed data, Sponsored Jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. And it's one of the largest databases of job seekers, too, giving business owners access to a wide range of candidates. And one of the things I love most about Indeed is the job alerts feature. I get notified when new candidates apply. There's no need to wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/smartpassive. Just go to Indeed.com/smartpassive right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/smartpassive. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring Indeed is all you need. This is the Smart Passive Income Podcast with Pat Flynn, session number 44.
Ready for liftoff in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Smart Passive Income Podcast, where it's all about working hard now so you can sit back and reap the benefits later. And now your host. His motto is be everywhere, Pat Flynn.
Still using a copy-paste website? Break the template trap with Framer. Whether you're overwhelmed by traditional site builders or frustrated with cookie-cutter designs, Framer gives you the freedom to create a site that's professional, polished, and uniquely yours. Framer is the design-first, no-code website builder that lets anyone ship a production-ready site in minutes. It's free to start, allowing you to browse hundreds of pixel-perfect templates or even design something on your own on a totally blank canvas. Add bold animations like appear effects, text effects, parallax scrolling, scroll animations, looping animations, and much more in seconds. The built-in AI handles the heavy lifting, generating starter layouts, and can even translate your entire site to any language. Ready to build a site that looks hand-coded without hiring a developer? Launch your site for free at framer.com and use code SPI to get your first month of pro on the house. That's framer.com, promo code SPI. Framer.com, promo code SPI. Rules and restrictions may apply. Do you know the secret to businesses that are scaling faster than ever? They're using Upwork to tap into a diverse pool of skilled freelancers across various industries. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more. Experts who are ready to help you take your business to the next level. I've personally used Upwork myself and can vouch for it. Posting a job on Upwork is easy. With no cost to join, you can register, browse freelancer profiles, get help drafting a job post, or even book a consultation. From there, you connect with freelancers that get you and can easily hire them to take your business to the next level. Upwork makes the entire process easier, simpler, and more affordable with industry-low fees. Post a job today and hire tomorrow with Upwork. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That is Upwork.com to post your job for free and connect with top talent ready to help you grow your business. That's Upwork.com. Again, Upwork.com. Hey, what's up? This is Pat Flynn, and welcome to the 44th session of the Smart Passive Income Podcast. And I must say, life is getting pretty crazy right now at this moment in time. Just to keep it short, a new addition is coming to the family. Our daughter, she's on the way next month if things go to plan. Writing a book at the same time, hoping to get that first draft done before she comes along. I'm doing the social media and web marketing for another movie that I was just hired to do, or that I'm happy to consult with. And of course, our 2.5-year-old son, he's there, and let me just say, it's not called the Terrible Twos just for nothing. But I am enjoying every single moment of my life and everything that I'm involved with, and that's really what matters. And I hope you're enjoying what you're doing right now, which is listening to this podcast. And for that, I thank you. So thank you for being here. Now, today I want to talk about one aspect of online business and blogging that I think is crucial. Absolutely mandatory, and I'll tell you why in a second, and that is email marketing. But I don't really like to call it that, email marketing, like all you're trying to do is get people on a list to buy something from you, which has sort of become what everyone, well, not everyone, but what most people are doing these days, and what most people are teaching people to do. Now, I don't know if you've ever heard the expression, but it's a pretty popular expression in the email marketing industry, and that is the money is in the list. That's all online and internet marketing, business blogging. They say that the money is in the list. And it's a great short little saying that is very attractive to those who are learning to make money online. And the money's in the list. And the bigger your email list, the number of email addresses you've collected, the more money you can make. And to a point, that's true. I absolutely believe that. And if you have an email list of 100,000 people, just imagine what one promo email to 100,000 people can do for you, especially if the offer is right. But this whole money is in the list thing, this whole talk about it, it just doesn't jive with me and how I like to run business or teach it. So if you're just taught the money's in the list, then you're basically going to do two things. One, you're going to collect a crap load of emails, and two, you're going to sell every chance you get to the people on the other end of those emails. Now, I don't know about you, but when I'm subscribed to a list and I get sold to a lot, it doesn't really make me feel good. It makes me feel like I'm just another, potential wallet for the person who is sending those emails. It makes me feel like I'm just another number, one of whatever, for that person. And it doesn't help me. Especially me being the person who sees one thing and then gets excited about it and then sees another thing right away and gets excited about that. If you're sending me emails every week about something cool, then it's going to confuse the heck out of me. And, I don't want to be a part of that. How's that helping me get anywhere? It's not. And so I have this sort of, and I don't want to say the word hate because that's such a strong word, but I had this dislike for email lists that are selling to me all the time, because I know there's a better way to use the email list to your advantage in a way that doesn't piss people off. I know because I do this, and before I get to my particular email strategies that have over the past 2.5 years helped me gather over 35,000 subscribers. Notice how I didn't say emails. There's an actual person who owns that email address. Remember that. Strategies that have helped me get an open rate between 60 and 70%. Every broadcast email I send, the industry standard is 20, and strategies that have people emailing me back saying thank you, which is one of my meters for knowing that I'm doing something right, and knowing that will somehow eventually pay off for me in one way or another. I just want to talk about right now the importance of building an email list before I get to those strategies. It's completely necessary to build an email list, even when you first start your blog. Absolutely. And did I do that? No. And that was one of the biggest mistakes that I regret. And I did this twice, with greenexamacademy.com, my first business that I started online. I didn't start picking up email subscribers until after I had a couple months of sales of ebooks. Huge, huge, huge mistake. I mean, imagine how many people that I didn't get on an email list who I could sell to again later, and I actually did come out with products in the future, and I didn't have anybody who had previously purchased from me to sell back to or to get, somehow easily connect with those people. And that was just a huge mistake. And then when I started smartpassiveincome.com, same thing. I started in 2008 and I waited until 2010 when I did a redesign of the site to finally start gathering a list of subscribers. And like I said, it's up to 35K now. But imagine if I had started in 2008, I'd probably have, well over 50K at this point, but who knows, maybe more. Now, the reason the email list is important is, well, just think about it. I mean, how often do you check your emails? Most of you probably multiple times a day. I check multiple times a day. And many people have notifications that tell them when they get a new email that they have to read or at least see who it's from when they get it. It's like when you get a ding for a text message. You can't not read who it's from. And here's the kicker, because it might be important. That's why people check their emails. And many people do it the first thing in the morning when they wake up. I'm guilty of that a lot of times too. First thing in the morning, I wonder what emails came in while I was sleeping. And it's you messaging them in your emails, your audience, you telling them something that's going on, something important that hopefully they'll open up and read. And we'll talk more about how to increase open rates in a little bit. But think about this. Sending an email is considered one of the top ways to communicate with people for some of the reasons I just mentioned, but mainly because people care about their emails. And so if people are opening up your emails, they've identified with you and they identified with what you've had to say before. And from there, you can have them take action or just enhance the relationship that you have with them. And that, my friends, is why I love email lists the most. It allows you to strengthen the relationship that you have with your subscribers in a way that no other form of communication can do, except maybe face-to-face meeting or a phone or Skype call. And even then, emails are powerful because people can come back to the emails later in the future and be reminded of you and what you have to say. That's why if you're just starting out, I think the email list is your best weapon. Yes, you won't have a huge list right at the beginning, but the few who do join your list, they become the people who become your super fans, who get to know you the best, who chat with you, which you have time to do because there aren't that many people on your list in the beginning, and really get them to become those old school, I was there from the beginning when you were first starting out crowd, who just watch you grow and feel proud of what you do and where you've grown to, who just love you. That's what you want, and that's what you can do with your email list. So when you're just starting out, don't sell to your email list. There aren't very many people on there. You don't have a big enough list to do that. But use the email list as a way to build and enhance the relationship that you have with your subscribers with something incredibly useful and epic by actually giving them, something to look forward to, asking them questions and communicating with them and responding to them, giving them something useful that they can put into action right away. Again, it's much easier to do this in the beginning, to communicate with your audience through your email list. But this is how you establish yourself as a leader early on. You may only be leading a small tribe, but it's a tribe nonetheless, and one that will follow you and share you and care. And then when other people see that you're a leader, they'll begin to follow too. So now that you know why I love email lists, and there's one important thing that I forgot to mention, which is you could always take your email list with you. For example, imagine the website that you have now, if you have one, or your blog. Maybe it gets hacked. I hope it doesn't, but maybe it gets hacked and it just dies tomorrow. There's no way you can get it back. What happens? Not only do you lose all your content and stuff, but all your RSS subscribers, all the connection you had with those who are following your blog, totally gone, unless you had an email list. No one will know what happened or where you're at, unless you have an email list. You can email everyone on that list and tell them what's up, tell them what happened. Maybe you create a new site soon and boom, you'd have an email list set up already and an audience on day one. You wouldn't be starting from scratch anymore. Super important. So now you know why I think they're important and why I recommend them. So let's get into actually how it's all done, from setting it up to what to include in the emails to your autoresponder. Let's try to cover it all. I'm just going to talk. So let's say you have a website and you want to start building your email list. What do you need in order to do that? Now, one thing you could do is just set up a form on your site. There's a number of different plugins out there that you can do that to set up a form. C Forms 2 or Gravity Forms. There's a bunch of other forms out there that you can create to get emails from people. But that's a waste of time. And let me tell you why. One, you'd be doing all that manually, collecting email addresses and maybe putting them into a spreadsheet or something so you can reference them later. And secondly, when you want to send an email out, typically your servers will put a cap on how many emails you can send out within a certain time period. So when they see tons of emails going out at the same time, if you're trying to send a broadcast to everybody, it raises a red flag and your email host will get suspicious. It could potentially shut you down or give you warnings or whatever. Plus, it takes a lot of time. You'd have to remember to put all the email addresses on there. You have to put them all in the BCC area of the email so they don't all see each other's email addresses. You can get in a big trouble if you don't do that. You're missing out on all the opportunity to use a trusted email service provider, which are more likely to not be caught in spam filters. And you'd also put yourself at risk because of the Can-Spam Act, which is a law that you must comply with if you're sending out mass emails. And I'm not going to get into the details of all that, the Can-Spam Act, but I'll provide a link in the show notes for you for more information on what that's about. Plus, you'd have a really hard time manually doing an autoresponder. And an autoresponder is a series of emails that goes out to each subscriber in a sequential fashion and schedule the moment that person subscribes. Imagine doing that even for 10 different people who subscribe on 10 different days all by yourself. It'd be ridiculous. And so do yourself a favor and look into getting an an email marketing tool that can take care of all this for you. So all you have to do is collect the emails using their web forms, and then you have the ability to send broadcast emails and create an autoresponder. Remember those pre-written emails that go out sequentially with absolutely no problem. It gives you more time to focus on the actual emails and the content within them and focus on growing your list of subscribers. Now, the service I use is called Aweber at aweber.com, and I'm not going to give you my affiliate link here. I'm not going to give you my affiliate link because I want to point you instead toward a helpful article that I wrote that walks you through step by step the exact process of how to get started with Aweber, from sign up all the way through how to configure your autoresponder, how to do broadcasts, the definitions of each and all the little parts of the process, the confirmation email, the follow-up emails, an entire diagram of the process and how you want to set it up. Super easy to understand, and one of my most successful posts that I've written just because of the number of thank yous I've gotten for it. And to be honest, I get a lot of affiliate commission from Aweber just from that particular post. So there is an affiliate link on that post, and if it helps you out, I'd be so thankful if you went through that, but no pressure. If you want to start an email list, simply go to startanemaillist.com, and that will take you to that post on my blog. Again, that's startanemaillist.com. So there, again, like I said, you'll see affiliate links for Aweber if you're interested. And again, thank you. Now, there are other email service providers out there, a ton of them, like MailChimp, iContact, Constant Contact. But personally, I've only used Aweber, and I'm extremely happy with it. I've met a couple of people who actually work at Aweber this past June at Blog World Expo, and they're great. And most of the other bloggers I know who have an email list use Aweber. Now, there is, of course, a fee to use it, and you can use it for the first month, I think, for like $1 trial for the first month or something like that. But you can test it out and see if it works for you. But if funds are really an issue, you can maybe start out with MailChimp if you want. I haven't used MailChimp before, which is why I can't say much about it or recommend it as an affiliate. But the reason I mention it is because the first 500 subscribers are free. So that's good. But just know that a number of people who used to use MailChimp, like Corbett Barr from ThinkTraffic.net, one of the good friends of Smart Passive Income, he actually made the switch to Aweber from MailChimp because for him it was a lot better than what he wanted to do. So he actually wrote a post about that switch, which is pretty useful. And I'll have a link for that in the show notes as well, which you can get at smartpassiveincome.com/session44. Woo. All right. So, okay, once you've set yourself up with an email service provider, you are ready to begin getting subscribers. So let's actually flip flip it a little bit and talk about what it's like from the potential subscriber's point of view. Let's put ourselves in the shoes of your potential subscriber, a visitor to your site, so we can understand how you can kind of better set up the process on your site for them. Okay, so scenario. I'm someone new visiting your site, and I got there maybe through a search engine or a link from another site or whatever. And what I see on the homepage looks pretty good. Nice header, great tagline. It shows me exactly what the site is going to do for me and why it's worth sticking around. So I look around for articles to read, maybe see some of your most recent posts or your most popular posts. I click on them, I read them, great read, nice job, excellent stuff. Maybe I leave a comment. And then what? Maybe read another article or find something else to do, and then maybe land on another site that you link to and just go from there, and I just move on. Maybe I come back later, maybe I don't, who knows? But the point is, you didn't give me an opportunity to subscribe. You didn't have a web form, or maybe you did, but it just didn't catch my attention, and you definitely didn't ask me to do anything. So, I read your articles. They were great. You had my attention, and you could have given me a call to action and asked me to do something. And I would be more than likely to do it than as opposed to if I just got into your site and didn't read your stuff at all. So there are 3 important things to consider here. 1, you need web forms on your site where people can sign up to join your email list. Number 2, you need those web forms to catch people's attention. 3, you need to give calls to actions when appropriate, meaning you just need to tell people to sign up, and that's okay at certain moments in time, and I'll tell you when in just a second. So let's talk about each of these things. First, you need opt-in forms where people can go sign up. Well, duh. I mean, how else are you going to get people to subscribe to your list if you don't have any place to subscribe to? So how do you do this? Well, you can get these forms from your email service provider. I know Aweber, and they have a web form generator. You can just customize it and get the code to put in a widget in your sidebar. And again, on startanemaillist.com, that free step-by-step post that I wrote that I just talked about earlier, it shows you all of this. But yeah, it's pretty simple. You can get that code, put it in your sidebar, in the middle of a page, wherever you'd like. Now, the question is, where do you put these forms? Now, the most common place is in the sidebar. It shows up on every page. Everyone will see it, especially if it's above the fold, which is a smart move. And a lot of people just expect that to be there. A web form with a name and an email field. And you could do just email if you want, but I like to get the names too, so that I can personalize my emails that go out. That's really up to you. And boom, now you're off. But wait, the sidebar isn't the only place you should put an email sign-up form. Now, you might be thinking, well, Pat, I don't want to ask too much and seem desperate, or I don't want to just ask and get it to the point where it's annoying. And yeah, you can do that. You can be annoying when asking for email addresses, but if you do it correctly and you place web forms strategically on your site, it's not going to be annoying, and it will make sense. So, scenario. So I'm someone new visiting your site. I got there maybe through a search engine or a link from another site, whatever. And I'm on a specific post that you wrote about something. It was awesome, which is why the search engine ranked it so high, or why other people started linking to it, or tweeted it, or shared it on Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever. Either way, I'm now reading your post. And yeah, it's totally awesome. I read it, get all the way to the bottom, totally stoked. And at the bottom of the post, there's a field to sign up for your newsletter. It grabs my attention. There's a small call to action. Hey, sign up for the newsletter and get this. Awesome. Let's do it. So at the end of your posts, that's a great place to ask for an email address. You have a right to, because people are going to be stoked from the post that you've just written, and they're going to want to learn more, right? All right, so next scenario. So I just landed on your site. I love it. Maybe in the middle of reading a post, or maybe even beforehand, I decide that you seem pretty cool, and I want to learn more about you. So I click over to your About page. On the About page, you talk about what you can do for me, who you are, and why you're cool, and again, you have a right to do that on your About page a little. And then you have an opt-in form in there. I like you, so I subscribe. Now, the About page is a fantastic place to include an opt-in form, even multiple opt-in forms if you'd like. Now, after getting some tips from a site critique from Derek Halpern from socialtriggers.com, and that site critique is actually public on YouTube. You can listen and watch him critique my site. I don't mind being a guinea pig as long as you learn something from it. And, I'll link the video for you in the show notes. It's great stuff. And yes, it totally helped. And I implemented some of the strategies, one of which was to add opt-in forms on my About page. And that increased the number of signups on that page because people could still sign up through the sidebar opt-in form beforehand, before I made this change. It went from 60 signups in 1 month to, in the next month, 404 signups the next month. That's a 446% increase in conversions on that page just because I inserted a web form and a small call to action to subscribe in the middle of it. smartpassiveincome.com/about. You can go and check it out yourself. So please, if you're a blogger and you're building your subscribers up, put an opt-in form on your About page along with a call to action. If there's one thing to do after listening to this podcast that you can do really easily if you're already collecting email addresses, do that. Put an opt-in form on your About page. Go to smartpassiveincome.com/about and I'll show you, you can just see what it looks like. Seriously. Okay. Derek Halpern has one too, socialtriggers.com. Okay, so check this scenario out. So I land on your site and boom, the pop-up interrupts me and asks for an email address. But it has a cool looking giveaway, so I might go along with it, right? All right, so pop-ups are interesting. Okay, the truth is, if you're looking at the numbers, they work. They work really well. But I don't like to use them because for me, it ruins the experience that I want to give people when they come to my site. This is just my opinion, but I'd rather focus on building my email list through people taking a little bit of effort, just a little bit, on their own to notice a web form that I strategically place on my site that isn't aggressive or an interruption of any kind, and it's just a part of the flow or the experience of my site, and people sign up that way, as opposed to, hey, I'm about to visit this site because I'm interested in this article and that headline promised me this, but now this thing's in my way asking me to do something else, and what is this site about anyways? Okay, now where was I? Gosh, I don't want that to happen. That's not the first impression I want to be making to new visitors, right? But that's just me. They do work. The numbers prove it. But, when you think about it, how sticky are those subscribers really? Are they subscribing because they've read your awesome content? No, they're subscribing, obviously, to get that free, whatever you're giving away for free, or because you've interrupted them, and now that's what they can do. Something to think about, just something to think about. All right, so another popular trend is sort of, for lack of a better term, a static pop-up. It's not exactly a pop-up. It's not an interruption to the user experience of a site. It's kind of integrated into the user experience of a site, but it's a big, bold, definitely denotes that you want people to subscribe to your email list front and center, typically in the header of your site. And again, my man Derek Halpern from socialtriggers.com, if you go to his site, you'll see it right there in the front. He calls it the Halpern headers. And they seem to work really, really well. And I have yet to implement this on my own site. Again, you can see it on socialtriggers.com. And it's great because you can offer an opt-in form while at the same time telling people exactly what your site is about, which is obviously something that you should be doing anyways, and the benefit that they get when subscribing. And that's totally cool. And if your email list is great, and you should know that, why would you want your email list to be anything less than that? Then you can definitely tell people right away exactly what they should do, and that's subscribe to your email list if that's going to be something awesome. It's definitely more welcomed than a pop-up. So that's just another thing to think about, another kind of trend that a lot of people are doing. So those are just some of the options you have for placing web forms on your site, where to place them. And I'm going to plug a plugin right now really quick here that I use and have shared with many. It's a premium plugin. You don't have to get it, but it's called Opt-in Skin. It's developed by Glenn Alsop, our good friend from viperchill.com, previous guest on the SPI podcast. And you don't need this plugin, like I said, but it's definitely going to help you place your web forms on your site in any location that you wish. It's especially if you aren't computer savvy or very technical on WordPress or on the web, this will help you a lot. And more importantly than just placing your opt-in forms in any location, you can more easily stylize your forms and make them look better. Opt-in Skin comes in with these skins that you can choose from, and then it also has the ability, some of the skins have the option to share and, on Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn, and it has all these social media buttons on some of the templates too. So it's really cool. So, the web forms from Aweber and the other email providers are a bit generic in my opinion. And OptinSkin, like I said, gives you the ability to choose from a number of templates and place them on your site anywhere with a simple click of a button in various places, like the bottom of your post, in the sidebar. You can split test the various web forms too. You could fade them in, which is a setting that I have going on and I'm testing right now. So if you actually go to, I say right now, but I know some of you will be listening to this in the future. I may or may not be using this at the time that you listen to it, but you can go to smartpassiveincome.com, go to any blog post, and if you scroll down, you'll see something that is offered by OptinSkin. I may or may not have the fade-in effect there, but if wait a couple seconds and it's not there, it'll show up and it'll appear and it'll fade into view. It's a pretty cool effect. So OptinSkin, again, I'm not going to give you an affiliate link again because I want you to go to the page of my site that reviews the plugin, gives you the video of how it works and to show you what it looks like, how easy it is to use. And I also, in that post, throw in 5 bonus skins or templates with a bonus expansion pack plugin that I give away. And with that, you can have the same looking forms that I do or that I have on the Smart Passive Income blog, which is really cool. So the link to that review and post and the bonus is at smartpassiveincome.com/skin. Okay, so speaking of bonuses, let's talk about the bonuses that a lot of people seem to be offering as a gift to subscribe to their email list. Offering a bonus, also referred to as a lead magnet, is a great way to encourage your readers to subscribe to your list. They'll be like, whoa, that report's awesome, or that ebook looks great, or that email course might be helpful. Sure, I'll subscribe to get free access to it. Awesome. It works. I myself use an ebook to help catch people's attention and get more subscribers. An ebook that I have called eBooks the Smart Way, which is a free ebook about 30 pages in length of content about how to write an ebook and sell it on autopilot, which is exactly what I did on greenexamacademy.com when I first started my online business adventures. Now, from a subscriber's point of view, a number of things about this bonus in general will better encourage your subscribers to subscribe. So one, and I feel this is the most important thing, is the image of the bonus. That's the most important thing because, even before the bonus itself, it's the image that people look at. It's what will catch people's attention. It is the thing that people will see and want when they go through the act of subscribing. Even though your ebook or bonus or your e-course or whatever you want to call it is electronic, and we'll talk about delivery in a second, there still needs to be something physical on the screen to look at. For ebooks, it's the 3D cover image. That's what's usually done. For an e-course, some type of video player or a series of them, or a video player and a booklet, like a PDF of some sort. And to create these things, these kind of 3D images on your site to help entice people to subscribe to your list, there are a number of resources out there, paid and free, to help you get those things. And I'll put those in the show notes for you. Again, as always, smartpassiveincome.com/session, and then the number of the podcast session you're listening to. So this one, smartpassiveincome.com/session44. Okay, next. So the next important thing beyond the image is what that bonus actually is. Is it something that's useful to your audience? Or does it just seem like you just threw something up there because you're trying to build your email list? Your bonus or your gift or whatever you want to call it should be useful, extremely useful, top quality information, over the top everything, over the top delivery. For many, this gift or bonus is the first real impression that people will have of you, of what you can do that is beyond your blog post. Something they actually get from you that is not just the content that you write on your blog. If it's crappy, then when you eventually try to sell something or recommend something as an affiliate, what experience are they going to remember when you give them that call to action to buy? The crappy ebook you gave them, or the email course that just didn't do anything for them, okay? That's why I'm so happy that I get a certain number of emails each month from people suggesting that I stop giving my ebook away for free and sell it instead because they would pay for it. I love that, because when I keep it for free and I recommend something else, what experience are they remembering of something my audience got from me beyond just my blog posts? That ebook, which I know is a killer ebook. I spent a month and a half on it. So then what I recommend must match or even exceed the quality of that ebook. And that's why I like the ebook thing the best, because you can have more opportunity to make it awesome. The cover can be beautiful. The page template's designed like it was professionally done. And, I actually just did mine in Pages for Mac. And people can actually flip through it and experience it more so than just a simple email course, which, well, people get emails every day, right? So, email courses are okay, so don't think that you don't have to undo one if you have one already. But the thing is, if you're doing an email course, my best suggestion for you would be that each day you send out an email, make sure there's a way for your subscribers to see an immediate result that day from something they implement that you taught them in that email. It must be immediate. It can be a part of a whole, which can happen later, but that part that you email about, get them to see results fast. That's how they'll stick with you. A 7-day email course, that's a long time to get emails from you. But if each time you're giving them something awesome and leading into the next one, they're going to stick with you and they're going to know that they should continue to stay on your list to get broadcasts later on. All right, so you have to make your bonus awesome because guess what? A lot of people are going to subscribe to your list just to get the gift. And many will unsubscribe immediately after. Many have done that with my own list. And do you know what? You know how I know this? Because people who resubscribe tell me, they say, Pat, I just signed up to get your ebook, which I've heard so much about. Again, another benefit of making it awesome. And after I unsubscribed, I'm back on your list because your ebook was that good. I just had to see what your emails were about. I don't say this to brag about my ebook. I say this so you can make sure you make your bonus amazing. All right, so I know what some of you are thinking. You might be thinking, but Pat, I don't have a ton of time to create something awesome and just give it away. I'm already working hard to create something awesome for my site and maybe another product that I want to work on too. Now, here's a little secret for you. Actually, it's not a secret, but many of you probably don't know this. The content in my ebook that I give away, eBooks the Smart Way, which has helped gather 35,000 subscribers at this moment in time in, August of 2012. That book is the exact same content that I wrote in a series of posts that I published on the blog about 2 years ago. Just updated a little and with some ebook specific language in it. But it's the same. I've always said to people will pay for convenience. And that people will pay for convenience references my ebook that I wrote for Green Exam Academy, the one that sold over 12,000 copies, because that book was 95% the same content that was on the site at the time that I wrote it. People will pay for convenience, and not one person out of the 12,000 people that have purchased that book have ever complained about the content being the same on the site. And not only will people pay for convenience, but people will subscribe for convenience too. And the thing is, many of my new visitors will not go back into the archives and see those posts anyways. They're buried. And I chose to unbury them, dig them up out of my archive in the form of an amazing ebook that is easier to read and better designed than what people can get just from reading blog posts. Now, like I said, I spent a month and a half on it, but I spent a month and a half because I was having trouble with the templates and I was really wanting it to design it really, really well. But the content in the book, pretty much the same as what was in those blog post series. Now, if you've listened to my podcast before, you've probably heard me mention ebooksthesmartway.com. And I want to talk about that really quick. ebooksthesmartway.com is a domain name that I purchased that simply forwards people to a landing page of my site that has more information about the book. And of course, an opt-in form to subscribe to get it. I include what it's about in more detail than anywhere else on the site. The sidebar or the bottom of the post, it has more information on this landing page than on those spots. And it's a great way to get people into your list specifically from non-text-based mediums that you publish content on, like on a podcast like this, or from videos. Maybe you're doing an interview somewhere and just drop it in. It sounds cooler than an extension after a domain name. So, hey, check out ebooksthesmartway.com as opposed to, hey, check out smartpassiveincome.com/ebooks-the-smart-way. What? See what I mean? It's crazy, right? You already heard me use a strategy earlier in the podcast when I said startanemaillist.com. I love it. And now you can't forget it. ebooksthesmartway.com. Okay, so I'm actually looking at the clock right now, and I just noticed we're approaching the 35-minute mark, and I had no idea I had this much to say about building an email list. I guess that's how important it is to me and how much I feel like I need to share about it. And we haven't even touched on what goes, in the emails and the autoresponders and the broadcasts and consolidating your list and all that good stuff. So for now, let's just save the next stuff for the next podcast, and I'll do my best to get that session out as soon as possible if it's not already available. All the stuff that happens after people subscribe, that'll be in session number 45. So I hate to break it up here, but I think it's a good spot to end this particular half of this series, I guess you could say. And I can't wait for the next one. So until then, remember the show notes. They're at smartpassiveincome.com/session44. All the goodies and stuff, all the links are there. And thank you. Thank you so much for all your amazing support, not just for the blog and the online related stuff, but the well wishes for my family and the second child that's coming. The book's amazing. It's progressing really, really well, and I can't wait to share it with you. So until the next session, best of luck with everything, and I'll see you there. All right, bye.
Thanks for listening to the Smart Passive Income Podcast at www.smartpassiveincome.com.
Look, I get it. You want to grow your business, but trying to sell to hundreds or even thousands of people gets very exhausting very fast. But what if you could sell at scale with a simple, powerful quiz? Score App helps you sell to more people without adding more to your plate. You build a quiz or assessment that your audience actually wants to take. Then they answer a few quick questions and get a personalized result right away. It shows them where they're at and what they need to do next and how you can help. And you build huge amounts of trust before you make even a single offer. No hard sell, no chasing leads, just value at scale. Get 50% off the first 3 months using the discount code SPI. All you have to do is just head to scoreapp.com/SPI. Again, that's scoreapp.com/SPI. Hey there, quick pause here because I have to tell you about a tool that completely transforms the podcasting workflow, Riverside. I get it. I used to juggle multiple platforms just to record one podcast episode. It was exhausting. Zoom for recording, Audacity for editing, and then a bunch of different apps just to create clips and social posts. I've tried other ones as well. They were okay, but they were clunky and super time-consuming. That's where Riverside has massively helped. I can do it all in one place, recording, editing, repurposing, one platform, one streamlined flow. I just log in, record with my guests no matter where they are in the world, and just like that, studio-quality audio and high-resolution video all in one. And get this, even if your Wi-Fi glitches, Riverside records locally on your device so everything sounds and looks crystal clear. But here's my favorite feature, Riverside's AI editing tool. You can remove silences and filler words with just one click, hours saved. With Magic Clips, Riverside also automatically finds the best moments and turns them into ready-to-post videos for YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram, all without the extra editing. So if you're looking to level up your production quality and simplify your workflow, go to smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside and use code SMART to get 1 month free on the Pro plan. That's smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside, promo code SMART. It's built by creators for creators, and I think you're going to love it.